That's better. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to PT on Ice Daily Show. I'm Jessica Davis. I am faculty with the Institute of Clinical Excellence, teaching the Performing Arts Division and teaching the spine. I've got Will Boyd here from the Nobody's podcast. Yeah. And today we're going to talk about connecting with patients. So we're connecting as PTs, and patient, yes. So what I wanted to do, the reason I came up with this idea today is it is the holidays. And during the holidays, we all too often get very busy and inundated with what we're doing during the day. And we're thinking about, I have to buy these gifts, I have to do X, Y, and Z with my family. And we feel busy personally as clinicians, right? And we can forget and get less patient with our patients, if I would say.
I like to play on words.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes we can lose that intuition that we have as clinicians when we're a little more focused. So it made me think about the TED Talk. For those of you who saw the 2015 TED Talk, done by Robert Waldinger, who's heading the study at Harvard, the longevity study. Hi, Andrew. So the title of the TED Talk was What Makes a Good Life Lesson from the Longest Study on Happiness. And for those of you who have not seen the TED Talk, I encourage you, after you listen to this, to listen to it. It was very powerful, but there was a neat study now, it was an article where they wrote up about this TED Talk, but more about the study that they've done. And this was published in the Harvard Journal in 2017. So I want to review the study a little bit for you guys and then tell you why I felt it pertained to what we're talking about today. So this study began in 1938 and they started with 268 Harvard sophomores. Now they were all men because at the time Harvard was all male. So that's the only reason that women were included in the study to begin with. So what they wanted to do and the purpose of the study was to look at happiness and longevity basically and see what's the connection? What happens in follow these men? So it's currently the longest longevity study out there right now. So they have now progressed it where they followed the offspring of these men. So there's 1,300 offspring included in the study now. And in the 1970s, they had a control group or another group that they brought in from the Boston inner city. So it's 456 men. And they wanted obviously to compare, do the men who have education and social means and financial means compared to the inner city and see what is the connection with long term, follow these individuals.
Wait, are you saying that Harvard people have more education?
Nice one, Will. And that's when they did the study, you can tell that's, they were. Okay, so what they found, now when they started the study, they didn't think about empathy or attachment. That wasn't something that was part of the study. But what it ultimately determined was it's all about that. It's all about relationships. Yeah. And so how happy we are in relationships has a powerful influence on our health. So what they found was it's close relationships. So it's not, just someone that you know on Facebook or someone that you talk to on Instagram. And we have to watch that with social media because we feel like it's a connection. It's not a personal connection.
Right.
It's not eye to eye. It's not having a conversation. And it's not someone knowing who you are that you can rely on when times are tough. Yeah. So it's important that during the holidays, what happens is we obviously think about our family and who we have in our lives, but there are people out there that are going through losses and going through difficult times, or they are lonely and they don't have someone. And they come to PT, and we may be the only one that they talk to that day.
Yeah.
And it's especially important during this time that we think about that and how important relationships and having a conversation and connecting ties into our longevity, and how we always as PTs want to promote longevity, right?
Absolutely.
And wellness.
APHPT.
So I love this quote, loneliness kills. It's as powerful as smoking and alcoholism, and having that strong social support can actually improve your mental deterioration, so it can prevent that. So having that strong social network. So I also wanted to say, Robert Waldinger also said this quote too in the study. He said, it's easy to get isolated and get caught up in work and not remember, oh, I haven't seen my friends in a while. So we as PTs can do that too. You know, we're business people, you know, I'm working on my business, I'm doing all these things, and I'm guilty of that myself, like not taking the time to call my friends and check in on them. And I also wanted to bring a story up. So this is sort of a odd thing that I did as a clinician, but I think it was very powerful for me. Sure, I'm getting tired while holding the phone.
I've been holding my left arm. If you're listening on the podcast, like, my arm's just been
He has
extended.
longer arms than I do. So I had a patient who, she's an older woman, and she was talking to me in the clinic about how she decorates her house and for Christmas, and she was very proud of it. She brought articles in of, you know, different things. I know that she was published in the paper, and so she and her husband would talk about their home, and then she would ask me questions about my children, and, you know, found out I had little boys, and she said, you know, it would really be nice if, you know, you brought your boys over to count how many Santas I have put up in my house, because it's a game I play.
Oh, man.
And, you know, in my mind, I thought, I'm so tired. I have so much going on. I have to get gifts. I haven't done anything for work. And I thought, do I really have time for this? I'm driving to hockey and all of those things. But something in my intuitive self said, you know what? I think this is important. I need to connect. And I got the sense that there was some loneliness there, and that it would mean a lot to her, aside from the treatment I was doing with her, right?
Right.
So I took my son, we went to her house, and she had cookies for us. She had the whole house decorated. And first of all, my son loved it. Her husband played pool with my son. He loved that too. But what was most amazing was, you know, as I was there, she looked at me and both of them said, we want to thank you for coming, because we do this decorating and for years people don't come anymore. And she said, you made our holidays. And so I thought, I want to challenge all of you. Again, this is sort of off topic of the orthopedic stuff that I typically do with performing arts, but I want to remind us that connecting with our patients is unbelievably invaluable. And sometimes that connection can be a little bit different, right? Like going to their home. I know that's unusual. I'm not saying go to everyone's home, but think about connecting with a patient that you might find extra lonely, and also, you know, take that time to connect with others who you might not have talked to in a while, who mean a lot to you. Because during the holidays, sometimes as much as it's happiness, we can get down and we can feel a little bit lonely in the holidays. Yeah. So I hope that helped everybody.
Yeah. You guys, if you're listening on the podcast, you can't see this, but if you're watching right now, this is how serious Jess takes this. She has like 2 pages of notes. She's probably embarrassed that I shared that.
Super embarrassed.
Like super detailed. She took this seriously. And I think it's all right. And me, I was doing home health for 2 years. And I'd go into homes, and I have to say that the number one thing I noticed was loneliness.
Yeah.
Beyond physical pain, beyond any other issue going on, I found loneliness was probably the biggest issue that they faced.
Right.
And I don't think it applies to any one group of people, like
No.
age-wise or gender
No.
or socioeconomic status. I think loneliness is just a really big issue, and so connecting is so important. I always just thought, even if I couldn't help someone physically, like if you can just have that talk with them and make them feel important.
That's right.
You know? And human touch. There's some interesting studies about just, there are people in there, and maybe Dustin Jones, if you hop on at some point, you might be able to give some feedback. There's some studies where, I think it was a New York Times article a while back, so this is not verbatim, but that people in their like 70s go days without human touch, like on average. Yeah.
Wow.
Like especially if their significant other had passed away or something, like days without human touch. Not even a high five, not even just like a pat on the shoulder. Stuff that we take for granted, I think.
We do take
like
that for
just
granted.
human touch.
Right.
And, so thanks for having me on, Jess.
Absolutely.
By the way,
for being here.
I'm currently a patient of Jess's. HIPAA, hopefully you're okay with that. I agreed to it. I'm a patient of Jess's. She's making me do Pilates stuff, and I didn't even know I had hip extension. I'm working on...
I'm making him do ballet stuff too.
Yeah. I'm having a hamstring that caused we're thinking something in my foot issue. Yeah. And so doing some Pilates that, I'm feeling muscles I haven't felt maybe ever, even as a soccer player.
That's my favorite thing to hear.
Yeah, especially all the feet, all the feet muscles that I'd never felt before. But Jess, we got to say this real quick because I know you won't promote it. You have a course coming up in February.
In February,
yes. Tell the people on the podcast and listening what your course is and where it's going to be.
So it's Performing Arts Management. It's my first course of 2019. It's in Texas, so super excited to go down
Texas,
there.
Because it's a small state.
Fort Worth. Yeah, it's not a small state. think
Just
you will.
show up in Texas.
Directly
It'll
challenged.
be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, Fort Worth,
Fort Worth
February.
Tech is it's on the website.
On the
It's-
website,
Yes,
okay.
in February.
Okay.
So look it up.
PTONice.
PTONice.com.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Well, thanks,
Thank
guys.
you, Will. Thank you for
Yeah.
being on. Check out Nobody's podcast, by the way. Amazing. So highly encourage
you.
you to listen to that. Yeah.
Great, guys. Go connect this week.
Connect.